I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve. Shield my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous. They don't want it when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me. Elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the option. Woo! Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Woo!
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers and welcome to UFC Vegas 54 Best Bet. We have Jan Blachowicz going against Aleksander Rakic on a card where I've been tracking for over 3 years now. I think this is the least amount of bets I've had since then. But, as far as the card goes, I actually think it's a really good card. I'm looking forward to a lot of fights. Looking forward to Camacho Torres. I'm looking forward to Petroski, Maximov. That should be fun. I'm not really looking forward to the main event all that much, but Kutelaba Spann should be fun, and then a couple other ones. So it should be a fun time as always. We got some fights, and it can't get much worse than next week with Ketlen Vieira and Holly Holm, I'll tell you that. But I'm here as always with Weezy and Narcocop. Erik will be missing tonight. He'll be back next week. But Weezy, what is up? You looking forward to this card?
I am, man. It's some really good fights on this card. I've got a decent amount of action, but nothing spectacular. But I'm looking forward to a lot of these fights. These women's fights are particularly intriguing this time, and that curtain jerker of Maximov Petroski, I'm really looking forward to that fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to chopping it up with you in the chat.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like the first fight of the night is one of the fights I'm looking forward to seeing the most. And like you mentioned, I think the Hill Jandiroba fight is going to be very fun as well. Narca, how you doing? You looking forward to this card?
Yeah, man, it's actually a low-key, pretty good card here. There's some good matchups in this card. And yeah, next week is going to be pretty interesting, I should say, to keep it nice.
Holly Holm, Ketlen Vieira. I cannot get much better than that. But yeah, we'll talk about this week, and we'll start, as always, with the first fight of the night. But before we do so, I do want to shout out the chat real quick. You guys are killing it already. 154 of you in here already. If you guys can please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And I also did link down Weezy and Narcocop and Erik's channel as well. Go subscribe to them and show them some love. We got Ver Hoofty Flufen. First one in the chat. Shout out to Ver Hoofty Flufen. We got Raw Torque in the chat hanging out as always. Prince of Mischief. Justin in the chat. Brandon hanging out as always as well. We got Thomas looking for some violence saying Maximov, Camacho, Smolka, Ion. I like it. Grateful Dude hanging out. Cole. We got Wade's Adventure in the chat. Jeremiah, the Amsterdam. I see Narcocop in there as well. Keegan, Monk. What is up, Monk? PSSA. Daniel. Ken, the Dab Father. At JP62. Erik. Philip, James, Andy, Buffo on the beat. You guys are killing it already in the chat. MMA Math hanging out as well. Cody, all you guys, if you guys can hit the like button, that's much, much appreciated. I do want to say thank you guys as well for 15,000 subscribers. Finally got it. My goal was to get that June 26th for my birthday, but got it like a month early, and that's all thanks to you guys. Thanks so much. Prodigy, I see in there as well. And Kevin, all you guys, thank you so much. So, first fight of the night, we have Andre Petroski going against Nick Maximov. Should be a very fun fight. Weezy, we'll kick it off to you. What do you like in here?
Well, first of all, congrats on 15K subscribers, man. I didn't see that. That's quite a milestone, man.
Thank
well
you.
done. And the other milestone about getting married, that's kind of a big deal, too.
A little bit.
For this particular fight, we talked about it on probability, Brady, where we said, the fight doesn't go to decision, seems to be a little bit underpriced in terms of the divisional finish rate and in terms of the individual finish rates of the two fighters, and the fact that Andre Petroski is a killer-be-killed fighter who has never seen the scorecard. So do like the fight doesn't go to decision. However, if you are on that Maximov side, I think Maximov right now sitting at about minus 355, minus 360 is entirely too wide. But the Maximov by decision is plus 140 right now on Bet Online. And if you do think that this fight is going to go the distance, I think Maximov wins enough minutes to get it. So I'm going to say Maximov by decision at plus 140 is my favorite bet for this fight.
And I'd be curious what the round 3 decision is as well. Also gets that round 3, because that would be the round I would worry about. But I'm going to go with the fight doesn't go to decision. Looks like plus 105 on Bet Online. It's actually plus 115 on 5 dimes. But yeah, like you said, Petroski's never been to a decision, win or loss. And I think, this fight can play out one or two ways. I think Petroski's going to be live for an early finish there. But I think if he does not get that early finish, Maximov's going to take over. I think he's going to kind of drown Petroski and eventually finish him. We've seen Petroski slow down even in the first round against Yuzong, who the guy was huffing and puffing, and he was able to, go through that because it was against Hu Yuzong. But I think he's going to meet some resistance here against Maximov. I think Maximov kind of drowns him, and I think that late finish is on the table. So I like the fight doesn't go. Weezy, I like that round 3 decision, and then I also don't mind a sprinkle on Maximov round 3. I think those are all decent ways to play the fight. Narco, what are you looking at for the first fight of the night here?
Yeah, right there with you. Doesn't go to decision, plus 105. Earlier in the week, I played the under 2.5. I got plus 140. I love that. I love the round 3 prop on Maximov. Huge gap in cardio here. Maximov, very good cardio. Petroski, very gassy. The issue I see mainly with Petroski is when guys are actually giving him resistance in the grappling, he tends to gas out even more. So Aaron Jeffrey, Brian Battle, both those guys gave him a lot of resistance when he was trying to get takedowns, with either getting up quickly or resisting the actual takedown. Hence why he gassed out really bad in both fights in the second round. The difference with the Gilmore-Hugh fight is these guys absolutely gave him no resistance with takedowns. So whenever he was kind of like tired, he would lean to the wrestling, get a takedown, and then kind of like waste time on top. He's not going to be able to do that here with Maximov. So it's a big issue, and I think Maximov eventually finishes late, but that money line is kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I want to see what it was. Like at one point, the Maximov money line was like minus 475 at one point. So it did come back down a little bit, and yeah, it probably even should be closer. But yeah, Miles saying, "Shout me out right now." Shout out to Miles. There you go, Miles. There. But let's keep moving on. Yeah, first fight of the night. I'm really looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a banger. So don't have to wait too long for it. But we have Carlos Candelario going against Taira. Taira, yeah, this money line is getting kind of crazy. I feel like it was just a couple days ago where Taira was minus 225, and I'm like, this is pretty wide here. And then now all of a sudden he's minus 335. So I'm not sure what's going on. Weezy, we'll kick it off to you. What do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, as this line moves more and more and more, I remember regretting when I saw Candelario 2 weeks ago. He popped up for about overnight to plus 275, and then when I woke up in the morning, he was back down to plus 225. Well, he's hit that plus 275 mark again. On it's Bet Online that has him at plus 275. I actually do have a half unit bet on Taira by decision. Candelario's never been finished, and I think that Candelario is much higher level than the guys that Taira was finishing on the regional scene in Japan. So even though we saw Candelario have a rough day on the scale, he's had more than 24 hours to rehydrate and get ready for this fight. He's been training for it for a while. He should be in shape. I think that he's going to lose minutes here, but I don't think he's going to get finished. So Taira by decision plus 260. I think right now it's plus 250, I believe, on Bet Online. So that's the way I'm playing this fight. I played it for a half unit.
Yep, I like it. I think it's much better than laying minus 335 in the guy. I'm going to go kind of a similar route. I'm going to take the over 2.5 rounds. It looks like minus 134 on FanDuel. Like you said, Candelario never been finished. He's fought very good grapplers. He's fought black belts. He's a brown belt in his own right. I guess the only concern would be that he did look like complete crap at weigh-in. So maybe if he is compromised, maybe that can hurt him here. But yeah, I think he's tough. I think he's submission defense is on point. I think this is a very grinding fight, more competitive than the line does indicate. But yeah, I think it does go over more often than not. So I do like the minus 134. I know we talked about it on probability. We talked about the fight goes to decision is probably a good look as well. That's plus 108. I think the fight does go the distance. But yeah, just seeing a Candelario at the weigh-ins was not the best look in the world. Narco, what do you think about this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I was all over the over in this fight at minus 110. I got in pretty early. You see, I got some CLV, but I can't get my mind off how this guy looked after. Here's the thing. I don't want to give credence to weigh-ins anymore. I said that to myself. But this guy was ill 2 weeks ago and pulled out of a fight, right? Now he jumps back on the scale. He couldn't make weight the first time, had to cut again. And dude, like, he looked sick, to be honest. It wasn't just a weight cut thing. He actually looked sick on the fucking scale. So I kind of arbed out with Taira ITD. But for me here, I'm just going to go fight doesn't go to decision. It's minus 120. I think Candelario probably goes for it early. And if he doesn't get him out of there, I think he gets killed, because I just think he's compromised here, honestly. And another thing is, he can't really pull out of his fight. He has to fight. If he pulls out again here, he probably never fights in the UFC again without even having a single fight. So I think he has to do it, and he's kind of like digging deep based on being ill. And so doesn't go to decision. Minus 120 is the way I'm going to look at it here.
Sounds good. Yeah, he did not look right, but I'm not betting on this fight, but it's one I just want to stay away from. But I will have some bets on this next fight. We have Angela Hill going against a very handsome Verna Jandiroba. Narco, we'll stick with you. What do you like for this fight here? I think there's a lot of different ways to play this one.
Yeah, so for me, I have a small little bet on Angela Hill, plus 175. Reason being is I'm a little lower than most people on Jandiroba. I think her wrestling is not very good. Obviously a very, very high level submission game. And if she gets this fight to the ground, she has a huge advantage, but she does have a huge disadvantage on the feet because her striking is not very good. Angela Hill has way better striking. And I think Angela Hill has way better cardio also. I think people are, playing Jandiroba based on her getting this fight to the ground. So I would honestly say that if you want to play Jandiroba, why not just play her by submission? Because I don't think she's the type of person that gets multiple takedowns and wins minutes like that. So, I like the Angela Hill side plus 175 at that number. So, yeah.
Yep, I completely agree. I think the money line just does not make much sense to me. I think if Jandiroba does win, it is that sub prop. What I like is that Jandiroba by submission. I mean, if she's minus 200 on the money line, I feel like for her to win this fight, it's going to be by sub, and that submission prop is currently at plus 260. I don't see her going out there and outpointing Angela Hill for 3 rounds, obviously, and I really don't see her going out there and taking down Hill, controlling her for 2 out of the 3 rounds without subbing her. If she gets this fight down to the mat, I think a sub is very live. I actually am picking Hill, and I think the money line is a very good look, but Jandiroba, I think that's her win condition, and you're getting it at plus 260. So I like the Verna sub, plus 260. Weezy, what are you liking in this fight here?
So I just made a bet on Angela Hill before the show went live at plus 175, but I also made a bet earlier in the week, a quarter unit to win 9.25 units. Angela Hill by 3rd round knockout plus 3,700. Pray for your Uncle Weezy, to whatever God it is that you pray for, because there is going to be such a big party at Uncle Weezy's tonight if Angela Hill gets a 3rd round knockout. And I echo everything that both of you guys just said about this particular fight. If Jandiroba gets it to the ground, she's probably subbing Angela Hill. Her ground game is next level. But when you're betting the money line, you have to remember that, Jandiroba, in order to get that submission, needs to get the takedown. And Hill knows it's coming. Hill knows that Jandiroba is not going to stand with her. So, and we've seen really good takedown defense out of Angela Hill over her last 6 fights, approaching, it's like 78%, and over a pretty good sample size and a lot of takedowns. So, and Jandiroba's 1-2 was pretty slow. When it first came into the UFC, you could time it on a sundial. I mean, even like, Cormier was just like, wow, she's got to work on her hands, So it's gotten a lot better. She did look really good on the feet against Kaneko Murata, but this is a much different level of striking. And we saw Amanda Ribas really piece her up because it's harder to get takedowns as the fight goes on. So if she doesn't get that 1st round submission, I think Hill's going to be live to really turn the fight around in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, potentially even get a knockout. But at plus 175, I've got 0.75 units on the Angela Hill money line here, and I'm really hoping for a Hill 3rd round knockout. But I'm a big Jandiroba fan, so if she winds up winning this fight and doing what she does, I'll take the 1 unit loss overall and root for Virna. But the money's on Angie this week.
Sounds good. Yeah, if Angela Hill not only wins, but wins in the 3rd round by knockout, there will indeed be a party at Weezy. So, yeah, looking forward to that. I'm rooting for you, Weezy. That would be a huge hit there. But now let's go to the 1-800-GAMBLER fight of the week. We have Jan Blachowicz going against Michael Johnson. Weezy, we will stick with you. What is your bet for this fight?
Yeah, what I heard is that this fight, is just, they're just fucking with us. Like, it's not even going to happen. We're just like, it's like April Fool's 6 weeks late. They're like, yeah, we're putting together this fight that nobody wants to see between the quitter Alan Patrick and one of the biggest, one of the most confusing fighters to ever bet on in the history of the UFC and Michael Johnson. My bet is that these two don't even make it to the cage, and they're going to tell us April Fools, even though I have it on good authority that it is May. Look, you guys, maybe the draw. I'm not, and I wouldn't even bet that, even though normally I like the draw bet when I think neither fighter is good enough to win, and I think neither fighter is good enough to win. But it would just be sacrilege for me to put my money anywhere near this April Fool's joke of a fight. So I am not betting it.
Sounds good. I like it. Narco, what do you like for this fight here?
Alan Patrick by submission is kind of intriguing here. It's plus 950. Currently on, where is it at?
FanDuel.
Yeah. So, I mean, the much better submission grappler. I know he doesn't have many submissions on his mark, but this guy's a BJJ black belt. We know Johnson has trouble on the ground. He's not. He's been subbed, I think. I want to say 8 or 9 times in his career. So he's got a handful of submission losses. And, here, Patrick, if he gets this fight to the ground, and I'm not saying he will, but there's a possibility. And if he gets there, he is the much, much better grappler. And you're getting this huge price. I kind of don't understand why this line is so big. I think it's because they're looking at Patrick and he just really doesn't have any submissions.
Yeah, that could be it. Michael Johnson's been submitted I want to say 8 or 9 times as well. And Patrick, like you said, is a black belt. So I think that's a good look. For me, I'm going to go with the draw. It's sitting at plus 6,600 on Bet Online. You got plus 8,000 on Bet 365. I don't think we've had a draw yet this year. But if we're going to get the first one, I feel like it's going to be on this fight. I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it, but I am, somewhat feeling a draw here. But I think that's much better than, betting anything on this fight. I think Michael Johnson should win. But I feel like I've been saying Michael Johnson should win this fight for years and years, and it just has not happened. So, Narco, I think that's a really good look with the submission prop. I feel like that's very live. I'm going to go with the draw at plus 6,600 and put a little bit on that sprinkle there. But we'll move on to the next fight. We have Andrea Lee going against Viviane Araujo. Narco, will stick with you. What do you like in here?
I mean, I like Andrea Lee in this spot. Much better cardio. Much better volume here. Araujo is usually good for about 7.5 minutes, and then she's about done. I think, Lee here you might be better off maybe waiting for a live spot here on Lee, because I think, Araujo starts off very fast and she wins most of her first rounds. It's just that she fades come second and third round. So I do like the Lee side ultimately. If you want to get in now, I don't think the price is bad. I think Lee wins this fight a good portion of the time. And Araujo is just a gasser, man. And Andrea Lee pushes a pretty good pace and with a lot of volume.
Yeah, if Araujo had a gas tank, this would be a pretty easy call for me. But yeah, you're right. She doesn't. She slows down as the fight goes on. I like, this matchup for her stylistically early on. It's just as the fight goes on, what's she going to look like? I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be competitive, and I think it goes to decision. I'm just going to give out the fight goes to decision as a parlay piece. Me and Weezy did a PP or a probability parlay, and that is the first leg there. I think this fight goes to decision more often than not. I just don't see either fighter getting a finish here. So I like fight goes to decision, parlay piece minus 280. Don't think that's half bad there. Weezy, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, it's so hard for me to pick a side on this fight because I could see Araujo getting early takedowns and control time and winning the early rounds, maybe even the first half of the second round. But then, Lee has a tendency to get back up and Araujo has a tendency to slow down. And that's a bad thing to do against Lee because she throws all this volume. But neither one of these ladies has ever been finished in the UFC, and that's in 5 combined losses. And in their 9 combined wins, only 3 finishes, and some lower-level opponents in the finishes with the exception of Cynthia Calvillo. So I am going to say the fight goes to decision is the best way and the safest way to play this, because I don't really see either lady getting a finish here. And like I said, or like Brady said, I've got it parlayed with another time prop later on in the card. It's my biggest bet of the week. It's the 2.2 unit probability parlay, or PP. Stay tuned for leg number 2, y'all.
Stay tuned indeed. Let us keep moving on. We have Jake Hadley going against Alon, and Nascimento should be a fun fight here. Narco, we'll kick it off with you. What do you like in here in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Nascimento side at this price. Hadley's the newcomer. Hadley lost the round to Mitch Raposo in that Dana White's Contender Series. Nascimento has gone to split decision against very, very good fighters in Ulanbekov and Paiva. He also fought Ricardo Ramos early in his career and went to decision, lost there. But you're talking about high-level, UFC fighters. And now, all of a sudden, this newcomer in Jake Hadley is coming in here, and the guy only has, 8 or 9 UFC MMA fights, and this guy's minus 225 against Nascimento. I think they're underrating how good Nascimento is. Even when taken down, the guy is super dangerous off his back. He does reverse position. He did that against Ulanbekov. And on the feet, I kind of favor up Nascimento. I think he has a nice body kick. He has a nice knee up the middle, and he throws the more volume here. So I think even the gas tank here is a little bit of a question mark with Hadley, because I know he's been 5 rounds, but that was like 5 rounds of domination. I think he's not dominating Nascimento here. So give me Nascimento plus 185 on the money line.
Nascimento plus 185. Weezy, what do you like in here in this fight?
So, yeah, when I first saw this line, I thought to myself, man, they are disrespecting Nascimento. And I'm like, I got to watch all the tape on Hadley. Then I watched all the tape on Hadley, and I said, okay, now I get it. This guy's good. He's really good. 2 5-round fights early in his career against really good regional scene competition in Zulu and Shanks. And then, a win over Blaine O'Driscoll's a good win as well. And I was really impressed. But then, it's still this line. Nascimento's really good everywhere. The striking is good. The submission grappling is really good. And when I look on that on that list of names, Raposo, Shanks, Hake, O'Driscoll, Zulu, I'm not seeing somebody with a big-time submission grappling pedigree. And I think, like Narcocop said, Nascimento's better on the feet. I think he's the better submission grappler, but he's definitely not the better wrestler. And Hadley's got a killer gas tank on him. But just with where these lines are right now, I think there's very few holes in Nascimento's game other than his wrestling defense and willingness to stay on his back. So I think the 2 most likely outcomes are Hadley by decision or just Nascimento, because I think Nascimento could knock him out. I think he could sub him, and I think he could potentially win minutes with sweeps, submission attempts, and keeping the fight standing. So I'm just going to have to echo what Narcocop says, and I'm going to put some money on that Nascimento money line, maybe a half unit, because this line is just a little bit disrespectful to him.
Yeah, I mean, I get why Hadley's the favorite here. I feel like he's going to be able to dictate where this takes place. I feel like if he wants it on the mat, he can absolutely get it there. But yeah, like you guys said, Nascimento is no joke off his back. I mean, he literally won the fight off his back on one of the judges' scorecards against Tagir after getting control for nearly 13 minutes, just because he's so active. And yeah, I feel like Hadley's going to be able to get it down. I feel like he's going to stay safe on top. But yeah, Nascimento will be live for 15 minutes. He's going to get a ton of opportunities. I think the submission at plus 460 is his path to victory. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. A lot of close calls as well. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go sub at plus 460. I feel like that's very, very juicy there. But we'll keep moving on to the next fight. We have Frank Camacho going against Manuel Torres. Probably one of my favorite fights in the card. Narco, we'll start with you. What do you like for this fight?
I like fight doesn't start round 3. It was minus 128 on FanDuel. My favorite bet of the card. I just think there's violence here. Torres just, I watched this guy for Dana White's Contender Series. I watched a bunch of his tape on his Facebook page, and the guy is just coming forward, throwing. I mean, you could see it with his record. Like, he's either getting put out of there or he's putting you out. And at this point, to be honest, I think Camacho's damaged goods. I watched his interview. His interview is really telling of what's going on with him. I think he has some type of injury as far as his, like, to me, like with a boxing background, he seems to be punchy because he's very, very slow answering questions and nothing's coming out like properly. So I have no idea what's going on with him. I'm kind of have a concern that something's going wrong up there. So I just like the violence here.
Sounds good. Yeah, hope you're right, because I have not a lot of plays on this card, but my biggest play is going to be the under 2.5. Looks like money's actually coming in on the fight goes to decision. I don't know who would be betting non-violence here, but yeah, on 5 dimes, the fight doesn't go. It's minus 225. If I had that line, I'd probably just play it straight there. But yeah, Narco, I like same thing. Fight won't start round 3. Minus 130 was minus 128. They didn't move it too much. Torres, 14 fights. He's been to the 3rd round once. He's been to the 2nd round once. He's been over a half of a round only twice in 14 fights. So I think it's a great spot. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until a man falls. I think the fight won't start. Round 3 is good. The under 2.5, the fight doesn't go. And even like the under 1.5 at plus money, I would take a look at. Even the fight won't start round 2. I think violence is a great way to look at this fight here. See, I'm going to go with the fight won't start round 3, though. Get those extra 2 rounds. I think it's one of the best violent spots in the card. Weezy, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Yeah, I mean, you would have to have balls bigger than Park Reporter's ass in order to bet fight goes to decision for this particular fight. I mean, like, can you just imagine, like, can you sweat out a Frank Camacho El Loco fight for 15 minutes to go to decision? I mean, they'd have to be giving me like plus 750 for that. You know, fight doesn't start round 3, like Narcocop said. Fantastic bet. Fight doesn't go to decision is the second leg of the PP, the probability parlay. It's my biggest bet of the week. So I've got that one. But, you know, Manuel Torres is also Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week this week. From everything that I saw on film, you know, relating to Frank Camacho, I just don't think he's UFC level. And the pounding that this dude has taken in his 7 UFC fights is absolutely terrifying. And, you know, like Narcocop said, I don't think he's all there. I think he's taken some absolutely horrible damage to the head here. And I never thought he was that good to begin with. And, you know, and if for everybody that's on the Camacho side, ask yourself why this guy would be plus money against a nobody like Manuel El Loco Torres, where there's no film on this guy. This guy Camacho has been in the cage with Li Jingliang, with Jeff Neal, Beneil Dariush, Drew Dober, and he's an underdog to this guy. And it's because of what we've seen on film, and it's because he's just not really particularly good anywhere. He's good at taking a beating, and that's not a good thing to be good at. So I'm picking Torres to shave ass, and I'm picking violence. This fight doesn't start round 3. Fight doesn't go to decision. Both great parlay pieces or straight bets.
Sounds good to me, Weezy. And it seems like every time we talk about the ass shaving of the week, Dope Space Cowboy comes in here with a song. Do you recognize this song at all?
Now and then when I make parlays, they shave me away in my special place. And if I bet too much, I'll probably break down and cry. Yeah. Oh, God. That's Guns N' Roses. That's Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. And, you know, and he's basically saying what we all know, that Vegas was built on parlays, and it's going to make you cry like you would cry if you had to hear Axl Rose's voice today, because it is god awful.
Sounds good to me. I like it. I like it. Let's move on to the next fight. We will go with Amanda Ribas going against Katlyn Chookagian. I will kick this one off. Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to play this fight. I think the fight goes to decision. Minus 225 is not too bad. But I'm going to go with Katlyn Chookagian to win by decision, which is currently sitting at plus 120 still. You know, Katlyn Chookagian in her UFC fights and her wins, no finishes since like 2016 or 15. It's been a while since Chookagian has finished. I know Ribas has been knocked out in both her losses, but you know, I just don't see Chookagian finishing here. And I think I don't know, the weigh-ins really worries me a little bit in this fight, because I was expecting Chookagian to tower over Amanda Ribas. On paper, a 6-inch height advantage. But when they stood up against each other, it's like Ribas is only 2 inches short. Like, it makes no sense to me. So that scares me a little bit, but I think it's a good spot for Chookagian here. I think she stuffs the takedowns, keeps it on the feet. And when it's on the feet, you know, we know what Chookagian's going to do. Stick on the outside, throw a lot of volume. A lot of them don't land, but the judges don't really see that. I think Chookagian wins a decision here. Plus 120, I think it's a little bit better than that money line of minus 172. Weezy, what do you like for this fight here?
Yeah, I also like the fight goes to decision at minus 225 here. I think that's it just feels like a good spot. I'd be really surprised if either one of these ladies got a finish. I could see Ribas winning minutes on the ground. I could see Chookagian keeping the distance with her striking and her length advantage and, picking her apart on the feet. I think they're both, somewhat likely outcomes. I have the Chookagian money line in a parlay. I feel better about the Chookagian side than I do about the Ribas side. But one of the things that you just mentioned is just pissing me off. I'll go on a very, very short rant about why does the UFC allow fighters to lie about their height?
I don't know. I mean, it was a big lie. It was a huge lie.
If you're going to sit there and take one measurement where you tell them to stick out their arms and you go from knuckle to knuckle, why not just do the extra measurement? Do they not have somebody capable of doing that measurement? Is it too much to ask? Why does Jairzinho Rozenstruik get to say he's 6'4"? Why does Amanda Ribas get to say she's 5'3", or why does Chookagian get to say she's 5'9" when they're clearly 2 inches apart? Something stinks. Something's rotten in Denmark. Measure the damn fighters from head to toe and from knuckle to knuckle, and then let's just get on with it. People gamble on this shit. Just give us some good information. Don't allow them to lie about their height. I'd like to say that I'm 6'5", but people would call me out because I'm not 6'5", and we're calling these fighters out for lying about their height. Stop doing it. Measure the damn height and let's move on. Sorry about the rant.
Uncle Weezy, how about from the crotch area down to the foot? We want to know how long their feet are too.
We need to know the inside.
Their legs.
We need to figure out how to get them a decent pair of pants too. But leg length, arm reach. These are all things that actually do matter. So it'd be nice to get some measurements.
I know, right? And nothing's wrong with say you're 5'10" and a half like Rozenstruik is. Nothing's wrong with rounding up a half an inch, 5'11". But Rozenstruik 6'4". No, you're not at all.
Come on,
it's crazy, man. But Narco, how do you feel about this fight here?
Yeah, so initially, when I was obviously looking at Tapology, I was like, man, why is Ribas going up in weight class? She's 6 inches shorter. Yeah. She's gonna, be at a huge size disadvantage. And I was kind of leaning Chookagian, but then I'm like, you know what? Let me just watch weigh-ins and see what happens with Ribas and how much smaller she looks. Well, I look at weigh-ins. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I'm shocked, honestly. I see her almost literally almost the same size, an inch or two shorter, like you guys said, but not much smaller, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to play Ribas now because I think Ribas is the better all-around fighter here. She has decent striking, but the way better ground game here. This girl is legit when it comes to BJJ. I mean, she's one of the best women's MMA practitioner when it comes to BJJ. So, I was like, okay, well, now I can feel a little more comfortable in the fact that Ribas might actually be able to get this fight to the ground because they're almost similar in size. And the other thing I read is, Ribas had a very, very tough weight cut at the other weight class at 115. And that's one of the reasons why she's up here at 125. I also think that her chin is going to be better at 125 because when you have tough weight cuts, I think one of the things that goes is your chin. And I always say that. So I just like Ribas here. I think she's the better fighter all around. And her submission line, man, if you want to take a poke, it's plus 800. This girl is as legit as they come when it comes to submission. So Ribas money line, Ribas submission for me is the way I'm going here.
May make sense to me. The reason I bet Chookagian was that size, and hey, the size is just not there. That was very weird. So we'll see what happens. But hopefully they fix that in the near future because 6-inch height advantage for Chookagian was one of the biggest lies I've ever seen. So move on to the next fight. We have Davey Grant going against Luis Smolka. Should be an absolute banger here. Weezy, we'll start with you. What do you like on this fight?
Yeah, so I didn't even write anything down for this fight. I do like the fight doesn't go to decision. The under 2.5. I think they're both really solid bets. Unfortunately, they moved since the show, Brady. When we did it on Thursday night, you could still get fight doesn't go at minus 200 on Bet Online. But where is it sitting, Rob? Minus 240?
260 now.
Yikes. It's got me kind of staying away because I think they're both live for a finish. and I think it'll probably come kind of early, like before the 2.5 round mark. But I think maybe try this. The fight doesn't start round 3 or the under 2.5 to get a little bit better of a price. But I do think Davy Grant knocks him out, but the line is silly on Davy Grant here. If you want to try a Smolka submission prop for a little bit of milk money at plus 600-700, that's not a bad idea either. But what I would actually say is just try the fight doesn't start round 3. Let me see where that's at right now.
Minus 156.
I like that a lot better. Minus 156, fight doesn't start round 3.
Looks like you just moved to minus 174. So yeah, money coming in on violence here, and rightfully so. I don't have a play on this fight, but violence definitely stuck out. But it more so stuck out when the fight doesn't go as like minus 175 earlier in the week. Now that it's minus 260, I wouldn't really touch it. I might just take a shot on one of these prop sprinkles. Like you said, Smolka by sub is actually very interesting. Plus 750. Like if he gets his fight down to the mat, Grant has been submitted in 4 of his 6 losses. Every time Grant is losing inside the distance, it is by submission. So, I think Smolka by sub is probably his win condition, plus 650. I don't hate a little poke on that. But yeah, the fight doesn't go. These violence lines are getting kind of out of control at this point. Narco, what do you like over this fight here?
Yeah, there's not much I really like in this spot. I think there is violence. I think fight doesn't start round 3 is probably a good spot. The line is, I guess, moved up now. I'd probably play it at minus 165. It's a little juiced, but not something I would love to play, to be honest. Smolka submission is not bad, actually, because this guy's been submitted by, Holdsworth and a couple of other people that, Stasiak and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't mind the submission prop on Smolka at all.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to play it, but one way I'm not playing it is going to be that Davy Grant at minus 300. My goodness. But move on to the co-main event here. We have Ian Kutelaba going against Ryan Spann. Narco, we'll stick with you here. What do you like on this fight here?
Man, I'll give a play. Not everybody can get it. I'll give that one first, but I think to me it's free money at this point. It's Ian Kutelaba, most takedowns on BetMGM. If you have it, it's a juice line. It's minus 350. But I can safely tell you there's no way in the world that line you won't lose that bet. If anything, you push and you get your money back. But Ian Kutelaba, most takedowns, is like, it should be minus 1,000, honestly, in this spot against Ryan Spann. So they're giving you a pretty good price. But with that being said, something that stuck out a little bit here is Kutelaba by decision. Kind of a sneaky play. It's plus 750. I can see Kutelaba getting some top time without finishing Ryan Spann, and he's gone to the decision the last 2 fights. So plus 750 is not something I wouldn't mind playing here.
Plus 750 by decision. I mean, I could see it. I think I know we saw it his last 2 fights against Jacoby. He implemented that game plan for 2 rounds, gassed out bad. His gas tank looked much better against Clark in his last fight as well. Yeah, I think I could see it. I don't really like anything on this fight. Like, the fight doesn't go to decision. It's minus 400. It's literally minus 600 on FanDuel. Like, for example, on 5 Dimes, Oliveira Gaethje fight doesn't go last week. It closed at minus 375. Like, why is this wider? I'm just going to go with the fight won't start round 2 at plus 124. When these guys win, the majority of the time, it is in round 1. If it does get out of round 1, it honestly probably just ends up going to decisions. I'm going to say fight won't start round 2. I think they're going to go after it really early. I don't trust the durability of Spann. I think Kutelaba knocks him out in the very first round. But if it does get out of the first round, it probably does go the distance. Weezy, what are you looking at for this fight here?
Well, first of all, let me just give you some numbers to back up what Narcocop said. Ryan Spann has 5 UFC takedowns in 9 fights, and Kutelaba has 27 UFC takedowns in 11 fights. So Kutelaba averaging 4.39 takedowns per 15 minutes, and for Spann it's 1.58. So Kutelaba getting about almost three times as many takedowns per 15 minutes. Plus, Kutelaba's takedown defense approaches 80%, while for Spann, it's 60%, and Spann's getting taken down twice as much per 15 minutes, 1.89 to 0.98 for Kutelaba. So, yeah, Kutelaba should get more takedowns, and if this fight does go past round 2, it's probably Kutelaba by decision, but I don't see it getting past that point. I see this fight finishing inside the distance. Fight doesn't start round 3, minus 210 on FanDuel. You can parlay that right now with the fight goes to decision for Ribas Chookagian at minus 225. You parlay those two, you get plus 113. I think it's a good bet, and I think I might make it myself, but I do like the fight doesn't start round 3 at minus 210 on FanDuel.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'd say it's better than laying minus 600 on the fight doesn't go, Weezy. I do like that. Let us go to the main event now. Shout out to Best Fight Odds. Got to scroll all the way down like we always do. And there it is. So, Narco, we'll let you kick this one off. What are you liking for the main event here?
Over 2.5. I think this fight plays out a little slower. Rakic is reluctant to stay on the outside, use his kicking game, maybe mix in a takedown or two, but I don't think he's much of a threat on top against Jan. I do think, on the feet, I think Jan is a little bit more dangerous in the pocket. I think he can probably land the bigger blows. I just think Rakic tends to just play it so damn safe. And I think he knows that here. Like, he knows Jan's most likely path is to knock him out here. And I think he's going to play it safe. I think he's going to kick a lot. I think he's going to mix in takedowns. And, you can get the over 2.5. I got it at minus 160, but maybe the line has moved. I'm not sure. That was on, I believe, DraftKings.
DraftKings, okay.
If I'm not mistaken, no, it wasn't. That's minus 190. It was on, I will tell you. Sorry.
That's okay.
It is minus 165 on BetMGM. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I like that. Yeah, I'm going with the same thing, Narco. I think the over 2.5 is a really good look. Minus 185 on Caesars, minus 165 on BetMGM. Like that even more. I just see it being a very, uneventful main event with not a ton going on. Both guys respecting each other's power. A lot of cage control. If Rakic can get on top, I think he can get some minutes one on top with his control. I see it going to decision, honestly, as well. Over 2.5, minus 165 on BetMGM. If I had BetMGM, I would probably be betting that, but I need to get into account there ASAP. But Weezy, what do you like for this fight?
I have a 1-unit bet on Rakic rounds 4, 5, or by decision at plus 145. You can get it at plus 140 right now. Rakic hasn't been a great finisher at the UFC level, and Jan has seen the scorecards. And like you say, it probably is going to be a slower paced fight. And usually we see these guys start off kind of slow, the big guys in round 1, knowing that they have to go the full 25 minutes. It's very risky to come out quickly because, if you get gassed in round 2, it's just going to be torture to try to go the full 25. So I think both of these guys might come out a little bit slow. And, when you look at the stats for this particular fight, it's very clear who's way better at winning minutes. So if this fight does go to the championship rounds, I think it's going to be Rakic who's much more likely to be the minute winner and to get the decision. So instead of laying minus 200 on the Rakic money line, I'm taking him by his best win condition and going Rakic 4-5 decision at plus 140.
Sounds good to me. I like it. So, Narco, we'll let you head out of here. Me and Weezy are going to stay back and answer some questions for the last 10 minutes. But, Narco, thanks for coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Narcocop on Twitter, Narcocop MMA on YouTube. I have my show every Friday. It is the Lambeau Place podcast at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I also do a live spaces today at Fight Card. We just get into spaces and do some live bets, and it's been actually really, really going really well the last 2 weeks. And also do a recap on Twitter Spaces every Sunday at 12 p.m. And that's about it. Thank you for having me, Brady, and good luck to everyone.
Sounds good. Good luck today, Narco. All right, so we'll stick back and answer any questions you guys have for like the last 10 minutes. If you guys want us to touch on another fight, we can. If you guys are just arriving, I know I missed a lot of questions. I'll kind of scroll up and try to find some questions here. But Weezy, are you looking forward to the card?
Yeah, man, I always am. I've got a few bets, so obviously, love to gamble, love to watch fights that I'm gambling on. It's just the Patrick Johnson fight that I had to really kind of be bombastic on the air about, so I would even keep myself from betting on it. I really kind of had to make sure that none of my money touched that fight. I didn't want to break any of my own rules. I did it last week by picking Tracy Cortez, a female fighter, as my ass shaving of the week. It was very risky. I did it again this week by taking an unproven fighter in El Loco Torres as my ass shaving of the week. But I think the proven entity in Camacho is why I did that. I just don't see him being UFC level. But as always, man, I'm looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks on this card. And just before the card, I'm always at my most excited because all of my bets are definitely going to cash. That's the feeling I always get right before the card starts. And then reality will set in. You sometimes in the first fight, sometimes in the second fight. But, we just like to end up positive, stack the winning events, keep that bankroll building as the year goes on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What is your favorite fight on this card?
My favorite fight on the card is probably, from an action perspective, Camacho Torres is just going to be fun. It's going to be a total barn burner. It's not going to be the highest level fight, but it's bringing violence. It's going to be great. The Kutelaba Spann and the Grant Smolka fights are both really fun fights. And then I'd say the one that I'm looking forward to the most is Hadley Nascimento, because it's the one that I just keep going back and forth on. And I think it's such a good fight. And then I'm always interested to see one of the biggest fans that I am of any fighter on the UFC roster. It's Jandiroba. And even though I'm betting against her, she's a very handsome fighter, one of my favorites, beautiful head of hair on that woman. Love to watch her grapple. She just seems like a cool gal, and it's going to be fun to watch her fight a veteran like Angie Hill. So there's a lot of fights to like, but I would have to say that Camacho Torres fight is going to be so much fun.
Oh yeah, and Verno has a haircut you can really set your watch to as well.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. It's beautiful and it's hypnotizing in a way. So Angie's going to have to be, really on point today. She's going to have to keep her eyes on the prize there because she can, Virna can get you confused.
Oh yeah, so let's answer some of these questions. Then we'll head out of here. Firecracker saying, "You playing Rakic on DK?" I am not. Weezy, are you playing Rakic on DK this week?
He's in my cash lineup, yes. Because it's a 5-round fight, because I think he wins. I think it's a safe way to bank at least 80 points in a decision, hopefully. But, he is in my lineup. But I'm really not trying to be too, I'm trying to stay a little bit more middle of the road this week.
Sounds good. Justy saying, thoughts on my parlay, all 3 girl fights to start round 2 at minus 200. I guess the only one that would worry me if Jandiroba gets held down in rounds 1 or 2, I think she could sub her. But outside of that, I think Chookagian, Ribas, I think that's good. And then obviously Araujo and Lee, that's good as well. Any thoughts on this parlay, minus 200?
Yeah, like you just said it perfectly. Unless Jandiroba gets a first round sub, that really should cash.
Yep, so I do like that, Justy. And maybe you could hedge with the Verna sub as well. Mike saying, what is your most confident 2-leg parlay? I'll give a confident pick and Weezy can give a confident pick and maybe we can make a parlay out of it. Weezy, my most confident pick of the card is going to be Camacho Torres. A fight doesn't go to decision at minus 250.
Yeah, man, that was going to be my number one pick as well. It's just such a good bet. This is going to be like a car crash. It really is. The guy Torres he fights like he's double parked, and then Camacho is just he's a warrior. He's not looking to win minutes. He's never won a minute in the UFC. He just wins fights every once in a while. So, yeah, man, that's a great one. And I think we can just do the PP, the probability parlay. Hey, man, we spent an hour looking at that spreadsheet, breaking down all the available angles, the implied probability of the lines, the long-term finish rate of the division, the finish rates inside the distance of both fighters combined in wins, losses, and combined. Come on, man. Let's do fight goes to decision for Lee Araujo, minus 280. Parlay it with the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 250 for Camacho Torres. That's minus 111. Let's put a couple units on it.
I like it. I totally agree there. Firecracker saying, if Kutelaba wins a decision, is he optimal on DK? Yeah, if he's going for takedowns and getting like 7 or 8 of them, I'd say so, right?
I think so, and I just don't think he wins a decision here. I have a very hard time seeing this fight, seeing the scorecards. I think it's going to be violent. But if he does win a decision, he's averaging well over 3 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he lands a lot of volume too. So I think Kutelaba is landing almost 5 significant strikes a minute. He's averaging 4.39 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he's getting over 22% control time. So, yeah, if he does win a decision, he probably is optimal.
Yeah, I think he has a lot of paths to the optimal line, but especially at his salary this week. Hank Hill saying, just got here, who wins the lotion and tissues fight of the week? My goodness, Araujo or Lee? I'm going to say Araujo, but I think the best bet is that fight goes to decision.
Yeah, the fight goes to decision for that one is my favorite as well. Yeah, and I Bash Aboriginals says Weezy betting Andrea Araujo going the distance with Andrea finishing her last 2 fights. Stylistically, it's a much different fight, and yes, I'm betting that it goes the distance because in their 8 combined UFC losses, none of them have ever been finished. So I'm really, and only a 33% finish rate in their wins. So absolutely, it's a great bet. That's the second leg of the parlay.
Yeah, for sure. Viral Sports saying Taira by sub. I mean, the problem I have with Taira by sub is just the price tag on it. Taira by sub, you're only getting like plus 180 on Bet Online. Like, I just don't like that price tag. Any thoughts on him by sub?
Yeah, I mean, I have the bet on Taira by decision, but like if this fight does finish inside the distance, it's most likely going to be because he got on Candelario's back and subbed him. But
yeah,
the narrative of this fight has pushed all the Taira lines too far, in my opinion, because Candelario had a bad weigh-in. But these guys get more than a day to rehydrate and get ready. It's not something he hasn't faced before. He should be okay to go the full 3 rounds. I'm still leaning Taira by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he subbed him, and Bootsy wouldn't be surprised if Candelario just flat out beat this dude.
Dude, Bootsy's been hot. I remember he had that one call a couple weeks ago. He had a big dog. I forget what it was.
And it was Mike Jackson.
Bootsy was all over.
But he also liked Ike Villanueva, to be fair, so we just got to let everybody know that we're not just repping Bootsy's great picks. He's had a couple of stinkers, but he's on Petroski this week. He's been barking during every Petroski breakdown that I've done, from stat diggers to just the tip to Ask Weezy. It's been Petroski. He's really all over him this week.
There we go. We'll see if Bootsy's right there. Prince of Mischief saying, how many finishes tonight over 3? I'd imagine there's over 3. I can name 3 off the top of my head. That the Grant fight, the Camacho fight, and then the
Kutelaba
fight. Yeah, I'd say there's over 3. I don't think there's a ton of finishes tonight, but I'll lean to over 3. Same for you?
I was thinking 4 or 5 is what I looked at when I saw. There's a chance for Maximov Petroski to finish, or so there's a chance for Rakic Blachowicz to finish, and then Grant Smolka, Kutelaba Spann, and Camacho Torres are all very likely to finish.
Yeah, I think I predicted 4 finishes, so I'll take the over there. Sloppy Second saying under 1.5 on Torres. I think it's live, and you're getting plus money for it. He's only been over 1.5 once in 14 fights, so yeah, I don't like overs a ton, but I mean under 1.5 is a ton. But when you're getting a fighter like a Torres, like a McKinney, guys like that, I think that's when you take that under 1.5.
It's in the greasy 4-legger I gave out on just the tip is the under 1.5 in that fight. It's a nice look.
I like it. A couple more, then we'll head out of here. What advantage does Ribas have over a bigger? I'd say like the pure grappling. Any advantages you can give Ribas here?
Yeah, top time and control position, because Ribas is good at winning minutes on the ground because she's got 87% takedown defense. She's out controlling her opponents 32% to 10%. And Chookagian only gets takedowns at a 16.67% rate, and her takedown defense is only 55%. So if I have to talk about what I think Ribas's advantage is, it's the ability to be able to get takedowns and win minutes on the ground with those takedowns. But if it's on the feet, that's where Chookagian is more and more likely to win minutes. So, it's if Ribas wants to win a decision here, she's going to need to probably get more than 1 takedown, or just march down Chookagian, eat shots, and get inside of that range and make it dirty.
Yep, totally agree. Last one here, Hank Hill saying, what fighter will be the parlay buster this week? I feel like there's like a lot of potential parlay busters. Like Maximov could potentially bust a parlay. Taira could potentially bust a parlay. Michael Johnson, although I don't know why somebody would parlay him, he could obviously bust a parlay. Hadley could bust a parlay. If I had to pick one, oh man, I think all these guys are live to bust up. If I had to pick one, I'll say it's Hadley bust the parlays, but I don't know. I feel like
stole my goddamn, get out of my head.
There's a lot
I was
of them.
thinking Hadley, man. Nascimento feels really live to me. He's good everywhere. He's more experienced. and we haven't seen Hadley on the ground with a black belt. You know what I'm saying? With like a well-traveled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, training with guys like Charlie Olives, who's won, I think, way more than half of his fights by submission. I think the guy's got a 71% finish rate by submission, Nascimento, 72%. And he's won 83% of his fights inside the distance. So that is 13 career wins out of 24 fights by submission for Nascimento. So I think he's live to bust the parlays if you got Hadley in there. And if you have Michael Johnson in your parlays, the only thing that's going to get busted is your front door getting busted down by the 1-800 gambler orderlies coming to stick you in a padded room for at least a couple of weeks so you can think about the decisions that you're making while you're gambling.
I mean, I don't know what would be worse. Like, what's worse, betting on Gina Mazzani or betting on Michael Johnson? They're both terrible, but something's worse there.
Yeah, dude. With Mazzani, you broke a lot of your own rules. Don't bet on gassers. Don't fade a bad fighter with a bad fighter. And then it was women's MMA on top of it. So, yeah, I think it might be Mazzani, dude. I think it might be Mazzani, but god damn, it would be a bad choice to bet on Michael. It's like saying, what would you rather have? Somebody shoot you in the back of the head or will throw you in a gas chamber. They're both shitty options.
I could not imagine betting on Michael Johnson. He loses, and then you got to look yourself in the mirror the next day. I couldn't. I probably wouldn't get out of bed the next day if I bet on Michael Johnson.
Soul searching time, and it's very hard.
Oh yeah. All right, Weezy, we did it. We went through the card. We answered some questions. We chatted up a little bit before the card. Weezy, let everybody know where they can find you, what you have going on throughout the week. We have a 10-fight card headlined by Holly Holm, Ketlin Vieira next week, and they have a week off. And then we have a full summer. I think it's like 10 weeks straight of absolute bangers. So I cannot wait for this summer. But yeah, Weezy, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me first. Let's start with Pub Sports Radio. I'll be going live with the Pub Sports Radio guys to do the watch along for today's show. And then you can find Brady and I in Pub Sports Radio tomorrow, 6:15 Central Time, for the Stat Diggers for this absolutely stacked Holly Holm versus Lorenzo Lamas card. And then you can also find us on Pub Sports Radio on Wednesday for the DFS show with our guy Monk Maddox. And going forward, our guy Gordo Gambles. But good luck to our guy Sparring with Reality Betting, our guy Luke, who's moving to Vegas. And I know that he's going to be kicking ass out there. Can't wait to keep watching the Club and Sub podcast and maybe even do a couple shows with him somewhere down the road. But good luck to you, Luke. You can find me on my channel, Uncle Weezy. I do a full card breakdown every Tuesday night called Just a Tip. Break down all the cards or all the fights from a statistical and tape study perspective. We finish with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And you can also find me on the MMA Engine YouTube channel doing balls deep breakdowns, doing probability with my guy Brady every Thursday night. We've just got over 800 subscribers there, I think, Brady. So thank everybody who's been joining us over at the MMA Engine with Lou Betcha and Monk Maddox and myself and Brady. We're building something really special over there. So if you haven't went over to that channel and subbed, go and do that because we got a lot coming up in the future. But yeah, God bless each and every one of you guys. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 54. Let's get it today. Let's eat.
Let us do it. Yeah, guys, I put the link in the description for MMA Engine. Make sure you guys subscribe over there. My Friday live show that I used to do on this channel, I'm going to be doing it over at the MMA Engine each week. So if you're wondering where that is, it is on the MMA Engine. Like Weezy said, probability, one of my favorite, if not my favorite shows that I'm doing as of now. Just a great way to look at the fights and a great way to make some money as well. So follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers, like, subscribe, all the great stuff. And best of luck for UFC Vegas 54. We'll talk to you guys very soon. See ya.